So, introduce yourself to everybody.
Now, my name is Wendell Ramsey. I live in Pflugerville, Texas, and I fish with my dad, Wendell Ramsey Jr. Lives in San Angelo, Texas.
So, there we go. You guys now know who Wendell is. Wendell's been a friend of mine for what, 4 or 5 years now?
Right about, yeah.
I'd say we've known each other for 4 or 5 years, and it's mainly always been around the tournament trail.
Yeah.
You know,
Correct.
some sort of tournament trail, pre-fishing somewhere. But recently, you just won your very first championship.
That's right.
Dude, what championship did you win?
We won the Bass Champs Championship out on the Sabine River this past weekend, first weekend of October.
And so, tell me what that championship consisted of. I mean, I know that Bass Champs runs more than one region.
Right.
How many? Is it 4?
It's 4 regions.
We got north, south,
East, and
central, or something.
Central.
Like that?
Well, I should know Central. That's where I fish out.
Yeah. So they take all. This was the championship for every region. And how many boats competed there, and where did you guys launch at?
I believe it was 190 boats, and we launched right there at the Sabine Marina, right on the Sabine River,
right
in
on.
Orange, Texas.
So you were telling me earlier of like how bad you think all your qualifiers have actually went for you this year, right? You were telling me that things just didn't work out for you guys almost all year. Although you guys have always been a very prominent name in the tournament game for like as long as I've known you.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's how we met. So how did you go from? How did you prepare for this? I mean, Sabine, you don't even typically fish that lake.
Never been there.
Or the river, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me how did you guys make it? And what was your mentality going into it, being that was so far away? You guys had worked through Bass Champs, TTZ, any other trails?
Maybe 1 or 2 media tournaments, but not much.
So tell me, how did you get there, and what were you thinking going into the tournament?
This year, like you said, our trail season was was a disaster. We in the last couple of years we've done well enough to finish, 3rd and 2nd AOY respectively in Bass Champs. But this year we fished a little more. We fished TTZ and Bass Champs and a couple of stragglers here and there. We just, and nowhere we went, we just struggled this year. So going into the championship, we did qualify the championship. We did what we had to do to make sure we could get there. And going there, we literally said, we had such a rough season that we were gonna put it all out there, and we were gonna spend 3 days of hard practice and make sure that we fished hard like it was tournament day every day.
And you fish all these tournament trails. Every time I've ever seen you, you've always been with your dad.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's both of you guys taking time away from both of your lives to go chase this stuff. So you guys struggle all season. You guys get to Sabine. What's your mentality going into it?
And literally, you've heard the swing for the fences. That was it.
Swing for the fences.
Swing for. That was our last shot to save, any kind of Ramsey fishing for the year. It was a championship.
So tell me, where'd you fish? How'd you fish?
So practice, we had decided that we were going to do 3 things. We were going to spend 1 day in Taylor's Bayou, 1 day up the Neches River, and 1 day in Cal Bayou. We made our mind up on that before we even drove out there, and that's what we did. We spent it.
What made you guys decide on those 3 spots?
Those 3 spots were there. Those and historically, of course, you do some reading. You always want to do a little research on what you're going to fish. Do your recon, and that's where it led us. So we spent the first day of practice up Taylor's, and had a good enough feeling about Taylor's that we could make the long run, because it's a very long run from the launch to Taylor's. In practice, we didn't do that. We launched closer, of course, but we felt good enough that if we didn't find anything in the next 2 days of practice, we could go to Taylor's. The second day, we ran up the Neches River, and looked at some things we liked. We didn't really fish a lot in the morning. We mostly just looked, and we saw something we liked, some bait fish flickering around. Then we saw some more in another pocket that was very similar in terrain, and so we decided to fish it. Right off the bat, my dad, he catches 2 back-to-back casts. Then I catch 1 flipping, and we decided that, okay, we're going to leave this spot alone. We're not going to touch it anymore. we're going to go look for something similar. We went and found something similar, and right away, fish. So we decided, let's get out of here.
And now, at this point, had you approached every day, let's say, swinging from the fences? And when I say swinging from the fences, typically that means I'm only targeting big fish. I'm throwing bigger baits. I'm throwing more aggressive baits.
No, not at all.
Did you have to taper that down, or did that swinging from the fences?
Our typical style in practice, and I don't know, a lot of bass fishing are going to go look for a spot that holds multiple fish. And you can find a spot that'll hold one fish, but you need 5 in a 5-fish tournament. So you want to go look for a spot that will hold multiple fish. And if you find some of quality, of course, that's the spot you want to key in on tournament day. So we did that on Thursday. And on Friday, we decided, okay, we're going to run up to Cal Bayou. And we fished Cal Bayou for a very short period of time, a couple hours, and realized that it just didn't fit us. We felt the most comfortable with fishing up the Neches. So we actually ran back down to the more saltier water, the brackish side in the Neches River in the Bay area, and went looking for redfish to play for a little bit. So we went out there to play a little bit, caught a couple of trout and some bass, but turned the second half of the day into a little more fun since we've never been there before.
I don't know if I've ever had fun during a tournament like that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But so, what were you catching your fish on? Like me, if I was going out there, I don't know how much pre-fishing did you do going into that
Just
event?
the 3 days. Just the 3 official practice days. We didn't go earlier. That was the first time we'd ever been there.
So, how tuned in were you to the bite when you first got there? What did you start out?
The first day, we did what we always do. We flipped. We put on soft plastics and we flipped. We looked for something heavy, stinky cover, the good nasty stuff, and we flipped it. And until we found something that held fish, that's what we did.
And what was that water conditions like?
The water was, and most of the time, was real muddy brown, almost like a dark coffee color. And then in some areas, it got to more of a clear black almost, because it's a little bit just a darker color, which told us something in our history of fishing of dark water or muddier water. We like to throw a big spinner bait. So when we weren't flipping, we were throwing a big spinner bait. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So 3 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 days. You took us through the first 2 days. Tell us about the third day.
And the third day, we went up Cal Bayou, and we caught a couple fish flipping. I even threw a frog a little bit because it was a little bit more froggy-looking water up there. Had a couple blow-ups, but nothing even big enough to... There's a ton of little fish out there, a ton of little river fish. And we caught a lot of them, Didn't really feel confident about Cal Bayou. So like I said, we went back out and went to play for some redfish and some flounder. We saw all kinds of fish out there.
So tell me this. You keep telling me that 2 days in a row, you went out and played around. How in the world are you able to do that in a tournament?
Well,
I have no...
I get it. We felt really good about what we had found, and everything that took us back towards the boat ramp, nothing looked similar. So we fished it, but when we weren't finding the fish that we were looking for in those spots that weren't similar to what we were comfortable with, we're out there fishing. Let's go have some fun. Fishing's supposed to be fun, Tournaments are tense, but fishing's fun. So you got to put those two together.
It is. What do you think it is that drives you to fish tournaments as opposed to not fish tournaments and just fish for fun? Is it
competition?
Is it that competition from that right there?
Competition. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I've watched my old man, fish tournaments and compete, and he's always been, in my eyes, my heart, a top tier fisherman. You go to West Texas and everyone knows him. Not only that, but I am a jarhead. I'm a Marine. I like to compete. I want to win, and it doesn't matter. Competing is fun, even if I lose. It hurts, but competing is fun.
You learn. Even when you lose, you learn. I always make it a point to talk to guys like you. A lot of time you guys take my money.
Survivors persevere.
Exactly. I mean, guys like you, guys like me, guys like Charles Whited, we've gotten very smart by losing.
Absolutely. I mean, if you haven't learned from your childhood mistakes, you can do the same thing from your adult mistakes. You make a mistake fishing on one day. The good thing about a 2-day tournament is you can go and pick that up and try something different and try to fix that. And if you feel like you didn't make a lot of mistakes and you're still catching fish, now that's when you can feel like you're a little more confident, a little more keyed into the fish. And we happen to get there. You know.
So, after it's all said and done, you guys are in the boat ride back to go to your final weigh-in. What's going through your heads?
That we were going to finish in the top 10. That we didn't have enough. We didn't have enough to beat those guys up there.
Now, were you the first flight to weigh in, or were you the last? Or
We were boat 123. So both days we were really kind of in the middle of the boats. I think the first day we came back at 3:30. The second day we came back to 3:20. So there was really only a 10-minute difference in our flights going in there.
So either way, there was folks that were still weighing in fish after you.
Yeah.
That's agonizing, dude.
I mean,
that's brutal.
No, but at what point, when did that happen when you realized, and
I mean,
did that feel like?
But even before that though, you have 30 minutes where you're just sitting there watching those scales, hoping that nobody else is walking up.
And your heart, oh my.
You know, when we shut down the boat to leave, we had a 45-minute run to the boat ramp, and the cameraman was in our boat the second day, because after the first day we were in second place. So we had a cameraman in our boat the whole second day, and my dad and I were, you know, he could visibly see that we were a little bummed, and he asked, so what do you think? And I told him, we don't got it. There's no way. You know, the state of Texas has some of the best bass fishermen, and Bass Champs as a trail,
it's a beast.
It brings in the best in the state. And, you know, to know that, being a bass fisherman, I didn't feel like we had it. I thought we had a good enough day one to finish in the money in day two, maybe the top 10 if we were kind of lucky. I didn't think that, we figured at that point we had 9 pounds on the nose. So we made the run, and both of us were a little bummed out. And when we put the boat on the trailer, put the trailer back together, put our fish in the bag, we looked at each other, we gave each other a little fist bump and said, you know what? We could be happy with what we got. We walked over to the scales. The two guys that weighed in ahead of us took the lead with their bag. And they had, you know, 21 and a half, somewhere in that range. And I was like, oh man, it's going to be really close. And it did. It took the wind out of me a little bit. That was already gone. So we walked up, and Chad Potts said, you need 8.5 pounds. We both looked at each other because we knew we had at least 9. And then I got a little air back, you know. We weighed in, I believe, 9:54 and took the lead. And from that moment on, it's not a blur, but everything happened real fast after that.
Man, that's unbelievable. I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy that I actually was able to have you as a resource to reach out to come here and do this. So what I want from you is details and your thanks.
I got no secrets here. I have no problem.
Baits, colors,
So the
rods, line size, colors, brand, weight.
You know what I'm wearing a size large underwear.
That's it, man.
There you go. So, no, the first day, the majority of our bites came on a Strike King spinnerbait with a white trailer, a little bit of sour truce in the skirt, you know, with a big blade, because it had some dirty water. The water level was up higher than it was the second day. The temperature was hotter than it was the second day. So throwing that spinnerbait around the wood, we never caught anything worth weighing on anything green. If it was brown, we would catch fish. We put a quick limit in the boat the first day, and after we got the limit of the boat, we knew we were going to look for that bigger fish. We kind of slowed down a little bit, started dropping our spinnerbait depth down a little bit. Right away, Dad hooks a 4-pounder. And our...
Just slow rolling.
Yeah, slow rolling, and the fishing tempo picked up at that point. We had trolling motor issues, so I spent about an hour. I had to take the trolling motor. I had some issues taking it apart, just to come to find out the problem was in the back of the boat. Once I figured that out, we got back to fishing. Within 2 minutes of getting that trolling motor fixed, Dad hooks a 3-pounder.
On a spinnerbait? On
a spinnerbait, same thing. On day one, we caught 1 fish flipping, and we called that one. We flipped, but the bite was on the spinnerbait. So we weighed in 13:10 that day, the first day. And I'll tell you what, my dad, you know, he put them in the boat the first day. He put the big fish in. He called everything I caught on the boat. You know, the guy's a monster.
Wow.
The second day, we go out there, we start the same. We start throwing that spinnerbait. I catch 2 quick ones that are, you know, about 14 inches, and with the limit being 12 down there, okay, that's a good start. Then the spinnerbait bite kind of stopped and slowed down. We were getting a lot of bumps. I feel like it was probably with smaller fish. Of course, we caught some grinnell, you know. like everybody else was saying out there. So I went back to flipping. I started flipping a hard candy rage tail cutter worm on a 5/8 weight sometimes the 3/4, depending on how windy it would pick up. But I started picking up fish real quick. So then Dad started flipping a...
Do you think it's because it was falling faster or because it was getting down deeper?
You know, to be honest, I think it was the darker colored bait, and the weather change really affected the fish. Not only that, but you can ask any of the fishermen that we were losing water. The water level was probably 8 inches lower than it was the day prior because of the tide shift out there. So I think that slowed the fish down. I think the cold front slowed the fish down, so we had to slow down.
But you had moving water, though.
From time to time. It was kind of a slack tide, you know, where it doesn't move, but it was just down.
Right.
So, but the wind picked up. So it's 15 degrees outside, cooler than it was the day prior almost. We had to slow down too. Basically, had to hit these fish in the nose. Well, once the sun came out, cleared the clouds, we really the bite started to pick up. However, there were small fish. We get over to a spot that we caught fishing before. You know, we kind of did. We probably fished 150 yards of water for 2 days, and we caught all our fish there. We get to a tree.
What?
Yeah, they were all
really.
Yeah, they were all in the same spot, and we just recycled the same stretch of water all day, every day for 2 days.
Wow.
We found it. We had a little tree that we liked. It was laid down in a lot.
It kept reloading that fast.
It reloaded like that. Same stretch. We had a lot of bait fish in the area. So what we would do is we would watch the bait fish kind of leave this one tree, and then when they would come back, we would get back to it. Well, then Dad sticks a fish. He sticks a good one. I mean, this fish has got some shoulders. He's yanking down, and he's got him coming out of the tree, and then it hits and hangs, and he's got him. You can hear him on there because you can get that little line.
So you guys were pulling these fish out of the center of all these trees, right?
Just the one, this one.
Oh, okay.
The rest of them were just the trunks
Gotcha.
of cypress trees. But this one has a cypress tree that had fallen down and we were fishing the branches. And he gets hung up, and I run to the front of the boat with a net, drop the net, and I'm going to run my hand on the line and try to lift this fish. As soon as I get down on my hands and knees to run, loses the fish. And of course, you know, my old man, he's hot. It's fishing time. An hour goes by, and I swear to you, we hadn't talked. Not a word was spoke on that boat. We come back to recycle that tree. I stick about a 3-pounder. I got this fish coming up, and he's literally hanging over a branch in the air. We get the net out. Dad gets under him. We get him in the boat, and the sigh of relief, because we had a small limit, probably about 7 pounds, 6 pounds, somewhere in there. Just small fish. We get that fish in the boat, and finally we can start fishing and having fun again, you know. And I caught that one flipping that rage tail cutter worm. 5 minutes goes by. I managed to stick another one about 2.5, maybe 2.25 on a tree, no more than 5 feet away from where I just caught this other one. Put that one in the boat. We're running out of time. We go down a little bit to recycle this tree one more time. We come back to it. Nothing at that point, and we've got to go. We load the boat up and head on our run. And like I said, we didn't really feel confident that we were going to win the thing. There's just too many good fishermen fishing that trail in that championship.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you know, even just fishing TTZ, where we compete compete against each other at, you know, just over there. I mean, it's amazing competition over there, and I have yet to step foot into the Bass Champs world, and so I've got a lot of respect because, I mean, like I said, we've known each other for 5 or 6 years now. I've been down here for 7 or 8 years. And, you know, I've watched even Bass Champs grow unbelievably. And, you know, everybody I know has the utmost respect for everything that Bass Champs has done, that they continue to do, that they stand for, that they put on.
A great term.
I mean, the last one I was at was their Berkeley Big Bass event that they hosted at Lake Fork Marina.
Which is this weekend.
Yeah.
2 days from today.
This coming weekend? Yeah.
Again, for this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's an amazing event in itself, you know, and I see them host these great events all the time. And so, you obviously fished that trail due to the height of the competition.
Correct.
And, I mean, the fact that you won the championship, you know, even though you struggled all year, you know, at that point, I'd say 3/4 of the teams in that type of position would probably blow off a championship.
I think some do, absolutely.
But you guys didn't.
Yeah.
What made you guys even continue to pursue it?
You know, we've got some good folks that help us out. You know, the folks over at Texas Cutting and Coring, they help us get there. And
well, you were saying that some of these people have been with you for multiple years.
yeah, you know, Texas Cutting and Coring has been helping us out just to get to the championship. And you know, they believe in us, so why not go fish? You know, well, and plus it's fishing. Why not go fish? I like to compete. My dad loves to compete. Why not go compete with the best? What else makes you better? You know, fishing with the best.
Dude. So who else has been helping you along the way? I know you got quite a few. You got a great jersey on. A lot of these folks I recognize.
The folks over at Ragetail are phenomenal, and it helps me out even more as a fisherman because I believe in their baits, and they're on my rods 95% of the time.
Well, and as long as I've known you, you know, as long as I've known you,
together,
you know, I'm a huge fan of Steve Parks, just like you. I was always a huge fan of his baits. You've been doing unbelievable.
You know, he builds a great bait. I'm confident with it. You know, and every fisherman will tell you, fish to your strengths. I like to flip most of the time. If I'm confident in the bait and doing something I'm fishing my strength, I'm going to throw it.
So what was the exact Ragetail that was most productive for you?
It was kind of a split, but for me, you know, I threw the Ragetail cutter worm, which I threw it in with that darker water. I threw it in a darker color, which I used hard candy. It's a darker color, a little bit of purple in it, and I like that with dark water. And my dad was throwing a Ragetail Menace. Twin tail menace in a.
That's a little bit more of a subtle bait.
It's a grub with two little short tails that have a hard kick to it, and that he was throwing it in a watermelon red color, and you know, if you're on the fish and they're eating it, and keep putting it in front of them.
So I've got to ask you. Just recently, I saw that it was either released or maybe just starting to really be advertised around here. Mm-hmm. But I think I just saw like a Magnum Rage Bug that came out.
Yep, got a couple of those.
Super interested in that bait. Awesome bait. Yeah. I even use it as a jig trailer a lot. And dude, when I saw that little promo piece come out from Ragetail about that,
makes you want to go fishing.
He studies nuances of rubber.
He
really does.
Makes you want to go fishing. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, if you have something you have confidence in and it looks good,
you know, there's something to win in these events, you know, because you just can't go out and be good with a limit. You know, we're getting ready to step into the TTZ championship.
Yeah, I wish I was fishing that.
You know, and it's just, you can't win these events by just going and bagging a measurable limit.
No way.
I mean, you just can't. So a lot of times, you know, it is these Magnum baits that I'm looking to throw. You know, once I start pre-fishing for a lake, man, as soon as I know that I can take home 5 fish that day, and I'm comfortable with it, I switch over to Magnum baits, and that's what intrigues me so much about that Magnum.
Something that we do a lot, and we did this for this event, was we go try to find a limit. We try to put a limit in the boat quickly. You get your 5 fish in there so you can slow down and look for your bigger bite. It's something that, you know, something we do almost every time. We try to put that limit in the boat so we can get that weight off our chest of having those 5 fish, and then go look and start culling with better fish.
So can you differentiate between your Ragetail plastics of what you throw normally as opposed to what you start to throw when you change your mentality on tournament day and it's time to start pig hunting? Mm-hmm. What change do you make? Do you go up to those Magnum size baits?
Yeah, sometimes. If we're flipping some heavier cover, yeah, we'll throw like a Space Monkey or something a little bit fatter with some bigger kick to it. You know, but I do like to start with that skinnier bait, and then I will, you know, if I work towards that Space Monkey or even that Smoking Rooster, you know, I've thrown that in big water.
Well, I've had down on Lady Bird Lake. I've had huge success on with their big lobsters. Mm-hmm. Dude, their big lobsters for punching are unbelievable.
Very big.
Unbelievable. And I can't wait to get my hands on some of these Magnum. What are they? Are they the bugs or the bug? Yeah. So that's
I know a guy. Maybe.
You know,
maybe we can talk about it.
You might take a peek. Might take a peek at his back seat.
So-
you know that we've had folks help us out, you know, and I hope you don't get mad at me for looking.
Oh,
at this.
no.
I do want to look at this because if I forget somebody,
Well, these people are so important because even right now, every single day, you know, there's people out there, there's anglers out there that are fishing right next to us that have got zero support or have got support and they're continuing to look for more.
Yeah.
And it's important.
It's constant marketing, constant exposure.
Well, it's important that when we've got a platform that you guys take advantage of it and thank these people that have gotten you to where you've gotten.
it's part of the game.
Know?
It's part of it. You know, I mean, like I said, the folks over at Ragetail, I mean, they make a great bait, and it gives me confidence. And I felt great that we caught our fish on a bait that we believed in. You know, it doesn't get any better than that as a fisherman. The folks at TCC at Texas Cutting Corn, you know, helping us stay on the water, huge. You know,
Where can you find them at?
you can find it at TexasCuttingCorn.com. Of course, you can go to Ragetail.com. But also the Marine Bass Anglers, which is something I'm part of, which is a veterans fishing organization.
Is that what Cody Roberson is involved with?
Yeah, he established Army Bass Anglers.
Yeah, so Army Bass Anglers.
Cody's the daddy.
ArmyBassAnglers.com is their name, and you know, of course, each branch has their own.
What do you do?
Of course, we have Navy Bass Anglers.
We're Marines.
That's why it says.
No, this is Navy.
That's why it says-
Navy Bass Anglers too.
There is a Navy Bass Anglers portion, you know, and it's that organization is about vets taking care of vets, doing something that they love.
It seems like
Doesn't get any better than that.
I'm sure you listen to Ken Milam's outdoor shows on the weekend like I do, and we always hear Cody on there.
Yeah.
And every time he's on there, you know, he's always talking about all the great things that they do.
Tell you a little story. The boat that I fish out of, my dad's boat, was Cody's boat.
Oh wow!
My dad bought that from Cody, and it still has the Army Bass Angler engine cover on the boat. We left it on there because it's got good juju. You know, it's got good fishing juju.
It does.
Now, don't get me wrong. When I'm out there and that Army
Can I
thing's
borrow
back
it
there,
after you're done with it?
I don't know about that. You know, when we're out on the water and I look at that Army Bass Anglers in there, part of me goes, you know what? This is closer to me than that one, so I'm okay. I can fish. You know, I can get out there and do it. But
Navy.
I love those guys.
Navy.
You know? And that's part of being a vet. And we've got to kind of jump on each other from every now and then. It's part of it. But love those guys over there. You know, Cody's a great guy. He's built an organization. He's got great guys under him. Like the pro staff over there. I mean, those guys. Those are awesome.
And you can almost always hear him. You know, almost every weekend he's on the radio with Ken in some way, shape, or form, if not every other weekend.
That's what makes his organization.
And he's
so
always
great.
promoting, you know,
He doesn't give up on it.
what he's got coming up. I mean, I hear him going down and doing hunting things down here in San Antonio and everything.
Cody's connected.
Busy guy.
Yeah.
But also, I'd like to, shout out to Proline Trolling Motor out in San Angelo, Texas. You know, I don't know if they have a website or not, but you know, they're out in San Angelo. If anybody has any questions, we can help out, get a hold of them. But Tight Lines Premium Fishing Tackle up in Killeen.
Dude, they got a great tackle shop.
You know, those guys are great. I like going there just because they're funny. But I
like going there because it's a great tackle shop.
And also, they have a great stock of race toe bays. I mean, when I go in there, that's, you know,
They really do. Remember that? There's an aisle of
There's a whole aisle.
brand there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. Like, it looks like a big building when you go there, but it's a big building in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of boats and more often than not, a pretty bare parking lot out front.
It's a redneck candy store.
But they do, you know, but they also do boat repairs. You know, they put a lower unit on our boat last year.
That's how they started, though, isn't it? They
I'm
started.
not sure about their history.
I thought that Rick Smith of Marine Outlet
No.
had told me that they started as a boat dealership and grew into a tackle dealer.
It might be Robert Gregory was with them for a long
Yeah,
time. He
right.
might know more, but
Robert was there, and you know, I know a few other people that
they're all good guys. I mean, they're all good
But
guys.
their shop is amazing,
Yeah.
actually.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's huge, and it's got very bass fishing specific material in there.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. You know, they're good guys with it. They know what they're doing.
So who else?
But I also like to, talk about Dean's Marine out in San Angelo. You know, they've helped my dad out a little bit with boats. We live kind of far apart, so we've got our own boats, so we've got to make sure the both of them are up and running at all times just in case. But also the folks at Bass Champs. You know, without them putting on such a competitive tournament trail, drawing the best anglers, being able to pay out the things that they do pay out, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to win a championship and pull home a 2016 FX20 Skeeter. You know, To me, I still can't figure it out. It's sitting in my driveway right now.
That's unbelievable, dude.
man.
As soon as I saw that picture of you,
Yeah.
I shared it. And shared it to Keep Austin Fishing,
Oh,
and I was
it
like,
was amazing.
dude, I am so happy that one of my friends won
I
that.
know, that's
And
awesome.
you fall into a pretty prestigious line of champions that I personally know. Aren't
to
Donnie
me-
O'Neill?
Donnie
also a bass champs?
Donnie O'Neill will put every fish in the boat in that lake if you let him.
But he's also a Bass Champs champion.
Yeah,
also.
he won. I don't know. a couple
Maybe
years.
2013
Yeah, I'm
or
not
12
positive,
or
but
something
I think
like
he won
that.
the East Region Championship.
And Charles Whited, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
mean-
he's won a championship or not over there, but he's won.
There's so many good fishermen right here in our own backyard. I mean,
Oh, I know.
you go out to any lake right now, one of them is out on one of those lakes getting better. I promise
You know what? It's across the board. Boats, kayaks, everything.
Absolutely.
The best are here. We
Absolutely,
really feel
I
that.
believe it.
Yeah, I really do too.
But again, I love that
Man,
competition.
I'll mess you up in a kayak.
That you probably
Yeah, we gotta get you in a kayak.
well, I grew up fishing out of kayak. My dad and I never even had a bass boat until he was in his 40s. I left for the Marine Corps before he got his first bass boat. I've got a fiberglass P-row that I fish out of. It's in my backyard, and that's what I grew up fishing out of. And I can do it. Don't get me wrong.
But right now, though, you and your dad have both been fishing out of Skeeters.
Yeah, so my dad's got an 09. I believe it's a ZX 190 or a ZX 200. And I think it's 09. Yeah, and I've got a 1996 ZX 180.
And you just won a 2016.
One of them's got to go.
Now, I've been...
Boat needs a boat.
Yeah, I need a boat,
needs a
dude.
boat.
I need a boat, and I'll make you proud.
I know a guy that's got one.
I think you should sponsor Beau.
I can sprinkle it with the raised tail bait if you want.
Dude, I will be Team Ramsey.
We'll leave it on there if you want.
So wait, I have a question, Wendell. I have a question.
Sure.
Just how much money do you have to have in the bank to win a $75,000 Skeeter?
That's exactly where I was gonna go.
You want to know the real answer is you have to have enough for your gas and your entry, and the rest you just got to catch fish.
Is that those sponsors that put you there that help that? happen?
Yeah, absolutely. TCC, they helped us get there. They helped us stay there. They helped us fish. They helped us get on the water. You don't have to pay for everything if you've got folks that believe in you.
Texas got
they're
their
right
water,
here,
man.
and they believe in us. And for the last 4 years, they've helped us stay out there.
It's really just the foundation of those first people, the roots people, starting to get you out there.
Absolutely.
And it builds
We don't
from there.
have a lot, but we have a lot of folks that believe in us. And that's important.
And what does it feel like to make that kind of a phone call to a sponsor? Tell me about it.
I called him from the boat ramp, and I told him, first thing I said to him was, thank you for helping us get here. And he said, you're welcome. And I said, no, I don't think you understand. We just won it. And there was a long line of loud words after that, but he was very proud of us.
Oh man, I couldn't
Very
imagine.
proud of us. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I tell you what, might be the best phone call I've made in a little while.
Well, I got to tell you, when it hit the news, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It really was incredible to see that and hitting on. And thank you for letting keep Austin fishing.
Dude, the fact that we had that we knew that we had access
Right, yeah.
was awesome.
It's
The
like,
fact that you
whoa!
brought it back to Austin was awesome. The fact that I compete against somebody that's won the Bass Champs Championship and occasionally beat. Not too often. Occasionally I finished higher than you.
You're no schlub. You
Oh.
can finish, man. Come on, you know that.
But you know what though? That's what drives me also. Because every time I'm out there, I'm not out there to beat the guys that I know that I can beat. I'm out there to beat guys like you. I'm out there to beat guys like Charles Whited. I know that's what I have. That's how I have to perform, just to outperform you guys.
Yeah.
So I understand.
It goes both ways. Trust me.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But now you've got a huge target on your back.
Come on with it.
Huge target on your back.
That's what we love.
So you're gonna be fishing Bass Champs next year.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go from here?
In a couple weeks, we're going to go fish another competition that the winners of this tournament get to fish in for Bass Champs. I'm not sure the location and stuff yet. I'm waiting on a phone call from them, but we're going to go fish apparently like a head-to-head type deal.
Like team on team?
Team on team, 2 boats. That's it. From what I understand, I don't have all the details yet, but it's coming.
Is that the President's Cup? Or whatever, didn't Chad Potts and maybe the vice president used to have
they
a
used to
head
do
off or
something.
something
Yeah.
like that?
It'll be similar, but it's going to be the team that won at one of their other events throughout the year versus us.
So is it like a final
The
four
invitationals
deal?
are coming. Yeah, you're getting all these nice invitations.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like the
Yeah,
playoffs.
let's go.
Yeah, essentially. From what I understand, it's a bracket type deal.
Yeah, like
But I
playoffs.
don't know the details yet. So
We should
it's
start a
even better.
Calcutta on it.
There we go.
We'll start a Calcutta on it.
I think he needs a personal cameraman. I really do.
So there will be one in the boat.
You're
What
gonna
I
get him to
understand.
follow you now.
Well,
no problem.
They had a cameraman on the boat, right?
Yeah, you guys. Yeah.
And you know, on my boat, I've got a GoPro hardwired into my boat, so I record even my fun trips just for.
Did that add any pressure to you?
Absolutely. You know,
It got in your head, huh?
It made me nervous, but the guy was a pro. I mean, he just stayed back there, did his thing. I was more concerned with having three people. You know, you get three grown
Extra
men,
guy, yeah.
3 grown men in a boat.
It's a tough one for a
It get a
cameraman.
little
I've
tight.
turned it down as a cameraman to him before because
Yeah.
I said, dude, I don't want to get a hook in my face.
It's another-
So that's the other thing is we've all seen that on TV where the
Yeah.
cameraman gets a treble in the leg.
Yeah.
So you know, good thing we were flipping because he might have got one. He was in my spot, but it's been a great week. You know, it's always good to go out. You fish tournaments to win them, but when you do, now the question go, okay, now what? And that's where we're at. You know, we won it. Now what?
But winning something like that, and even just cashing a check against a lot of these guys, raises your confidence.
Absolutely.
So going in the next year, I mean, into this playoff type bracket series that they're putting on, dude, your confidence level has to be up to here.
Yeah, sure. But at the same time, like we talked about earlier, I just want to compete.
Yeah, but it's fall. You guys are dynamite. We've always known, you know, like I said, we met a long time ago through the tournament scene, and it's like the first people you meet are the guys that are going to take your money.
Well, you said that because I've lost my money too. So at the same time,
Everybody's a donor.
that's tournament fishing.
You
That's
know,
bass fishing right there.
it is.
That is it.
So anything, you know, what I really want to know is, since I've lived in Texas, okay, I have always seen these tournaments paying out boats. Last year, 3 weeks before the Tournament of Champions, I showed up to Lake Fork, and it was the Berkeley Big Bass event. And they had like, I don't know, was it like 3 or 6 boats that they were giving away? I mean, something ridiculous, okay? Unbelievable win. I mean, I can only imagine what it would feel like to win a boat like you just did. But what has always eluded me is the behind-the-scenes things that happen with when you do well enough to win a boat at one of these events like this. What follows that? Because I'd love to compete for that boat, but I don't know anything that happens after you win it.
It's paperwork and deciding what you want to do with your prize. You know, Dad and I, we want the boat. I think that boat could elevate our fishing game.
Well, you even told me, earlier that you said it yourself. You'd probably never be able to afford a bass boat like that.
No, there's no way. I mean, it's a gorgeous, top of the line Skeeter FX,
which is normally valued between $60,000 and probably $80,000, depending on how.
There's a big chunk of cash involved in that boat, and winning one is probably the way I would get in. The only way I'd be able to get into one. So I want to stay in that thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so you get the boat, all right. What's entailed with getting that boat? You're responsible for obviously the taxes on it. You've got to register it. Mm-hmm. It comes straight from the factory. You were telling me. Yeah. There's some nuances to actually acquiring that boat that I had never known.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like I said, you go to fish these tournaments and you win one. We won the boat. We didn't know how to get it back to Austin. Luckily for me, my brother Ryan Ramsey is working in Orange, and I conned him. I begged my little brother, to drive it and pull it back for us while we pulled the other boat.
So you were saying that when you get it, it's got no fuel in it, and so it's essentially a bare bones boat.
It's never been.
You
touched.
have to make it water ready.
Yeah. There's no batteries. It's straight from the factory. It's got to go to dealership.
But that's good. That's kind of good in my opinion, though, because you get to take a brand new spick and span boat that's never had any dealership's hands on it or anything.
Yep.
But how do you prep that? You got to
We take it.
You got to pick somebody who does that.
That's the key behind it.
You don't want to miss it.
Is that with it being your boat, you get to take it to your people that you trust doing it.
We take it to a Skeeter dealership. The Skeeter dealership does that all the time. They get boats from the factory every day. It's no different than that. It's coming from some individuals instead of a factory truck. That's the only difference, from what I understand. You know, and you go in there, they make it water ready. You get your title and paperwork, all your registration stuff squared away, and then.
But at that point, though, even you're always working with. It's like you're working with the same people that you trust from the very beginning to the very end of its life.
You know, I already contacted the folks that I know here at TTZ to help me, to point me in the right direction. You know, and those folks, you know, John Ward, shot me in the right direction, got me a phone number, and I've already made phone calls, and he's been very helpful.
They know everybody.
Yeah,
they know everybody.
And it's folks that I've met through fishing. You know, this community here in Austin, Texas, it doesn't matter if you fish TTZ or Bass Champs or both. They're both great trails, and we fished both.
Yeah.
You know, and we're going to try to do that every year.
Well, a lot of us try to make as many tournaments as we can.
You don't have a chance to win if you don't fish.
It's kind of like if we're gonna. My wife tells me, are you going to be fishing? Are you fishing the tournament on Saturday? Oh, I don't know, maybe. You're going to be fishing
needs new shoes, huh?
So go fish.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if there's an open tournament, you'll typically find a lot of us there.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Dude, this has been awesome.
I'm still blown away about the whole thing, and I'm still flying somewhere up here. I will figure it out here pretty soon, though.
Man, you came off a struggling season to win the championship. Now you've got a huge target on your back, even from me a little bit. I'm okay with saying that.
Everybody wants it.
You know, I can't wait to beat you. But I appreciate you, dude.
Yeah.
You came on, you gave us some great information. The calf community is going to love it. We're going to release this next Wednesday during calf prime time. We went way over our 15 minutes, but I kind of decided that once we got into this interview that it was kind of rolling so good that we could even break it up into two different parts. You know, I want to make sure that you're taken care of, your sponsors are taken care of, but most importantly, family.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, your dad couldn't make it.
My dad.
Tell me about your dad.
Yeah, my dad.
You know,
how awesome was that?
I know you fairly well at this point. I don't know your dad.
My dad lives in San Angelo. You know, that's where I was born. I came here in the early '90s with my mother. I left the Marine Corps, and this is where I came back to after the Corps. You know, my dad and I decided a couple years ago that instead of just fishing every now and then for fun, he was already fishing tournaments. I was like, man, I want to get back into tournament fishing, something I hadn't done in 10 years. And he's like, well, let's go fish the Champs Trail. We fished the first year, and we did.
How many years total have you been fishing Bass Champs?
This is my 4th year, but he's been fishing since they started.
Gotcha.
The first year we fished together, we finished 3rd in Anglers of the Year race. The second year, we finished 2nd by 1 point. We lost to Rick and Adam, my buddies over there, great fishermen. So, anyhow, you know, we've really enjoyed it. My old man, he's a stick, man. If I learn everything from him. I watch him even now. I watch him all the time. The dude can fish.
Well, you said that, you know, lots of folks out in West Texas know your dad. You told me that he thought that there was a curse on him.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
He thought he had a championship curse. He's won tournaments. You know, he's done well in you know, tournament trails. He's done well. He's won. He's never won a championship. This first championship that he won was with me, and it's something that we talked about. You know, we had a bad year. We said, you know, we've had a rough year. We're going to make this championship something that we can be proud of to watch the rest of the season down. Not really expecting to win it, but coming out to win, man, that makes sense.
But I mean, this was, you know, you guys have always, you know, as long as I've known you guys have always, you know, fairly regularly cashed a check, won an event, finished in the top 3, you know, but this was you and his first championship. Right. What did that feel like, just to win it with your dad?
Well, when you start fishing with your dad at, you know, 3-4 years old, you know, doing that your whole life and then competing with your dad. I fished against him before too, and he's whipped my tail. I've only ever beat him one-on-one one time in my life. And to go out there and get to fish with a guy that I know can whoop up on me on the water and learn that kind of stuff from him, to win something with him like that, it's freaking huge. And he's your dad, he's my dad. I'll get to do something like that we've been doing for our whole lives together and be successful at it. It doesn't get much better.
So tell me this, mentalities, old school fishermen, new school fishermen.
Yeah, you know what? I learned a lot of stuff from him. So
do they clash on the boat?
Not at all, man. Sometimes we get in a rhythm where we don't talk, and there's just fish coming in the boat. Tournament partners, they get that groove. They know when one flip is made. They know the angle they need to take. If I'm fishing off right behind him off the front deck, I know if he flips this way, I'm going here. When we hit different angles, it's something we've developed over fishing together for a certain period of time.
Well, I mean, I fish as a team too. And one of the most difficult things, in my opinion, about fishing as a team is finding a viable partner. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of teams fail because it's a bad partnership. Yeah. Either their fishing methods don't match, their personalities don't mesh, whatever it may be. A lot of them end up. You see a lot of teams change their faces and names, but you see some that stay relatively the same. What makes you guys?
Partly, we love each other, but we both know. Yeah.
It could still come to
that. Don't get me wrong. When he gets old enough, I'm gonna let give him one. But no, we fish well together. That means a lot. There's a perfectly good chance that a father and son team can't fish well together. But
that's why I think it's so
I
intriguing.
see a lot of father-sons, brother teams, and husband-wife teams kicking butt right now.
Absolutely.
There's something about that, even if there's some antagonistic feelings because of it.
Well, honestly,
the closeness makes a good team.
But honestly, I think it might come down to simply something along the same thing as a relationship. Mm-hmm. You don't really have an option. So working together isn't a.
Is that kind of like us? We got to do something.
Yeah, no, man. We do this. We have to do this no matter what.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing that my dad and I have together about being a good partnership on the water is we both enjoy fishing the same style. Mm-hmm. We both like to flip and pitch, throw spinnerbaits. We don't like to fish deeper than 12 foot of water. Neither one of us likes to venture over there. We know what we like, and we fish that to our strengths. And if we have a bad day at our strengths, that's on us. And we can both live with that. And I think that that's the biggest thing for us on the water. But at the end of the day, if you can enjoy some time on the water with your dad, your son, your brother, your sister, your wife, whoever, what better way to spend the day?
Absolutely.
What better way to spend the day?
You seem to be able to spend your day either on the water with your family or at the baseball park with your family. I know that baseball is a huge part of your life too. Tell me about that, because you're actually a baseball coach.
Yeah, I coach a 13U select baseball team called the Round Rock Vipers. I'm an assistant coach. I've been coaching with them. This is my 4th season. And my oldest son, Wendell Ramsey Jr, we already knew how to spell it, so we stuck with it, He's, for one, an outstanding baseball player, but that kid can fish. He's been doing it since a kid. Many times on my boat, I'll go fish out of the back. I'll let him have the trolling motor. I'll let him have the leg.
So when are we going to start seeing him show up?
Pretty soon. 2 years ago, he fished a tournament that Tightlines put on with my dad, and they finished, I believe, 9th.
Wow.
And just him and the old man, and he put a couple keepers in the boat. The kid can fish, and we went out the weekend before this tournament, just a fun fish over at Decker. And the kid put a couple in the boat. That's what he does. He's a good fisherman.
That's great.
I got my other son, Levi, who is he's 6, but he gets out there too. He tries to whip it on. He's still figuring out how to cast and not ask 100 questions out there, but he's 6, so it's definitely a family thing for sure.
Well, anybody else in your family that you'd like to thank?
I have to say my whole family. From start to finish, when it comes down time to leave, to pack my clothes, to go practice, to know that when I'm gone out there fishing, kind of no different than when I was gone out there in the Marine Corps, the stuff that I care about is taken care of by one or the other of my family. It helps, especially when you're 4 to 5 hours away fishing.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
man. Well, Semper Fi, bro.
Kill.
That was absolutely fantastic, dude. Thank you so much,
Thanks a
dude.
lot.
I know that the CAF community is gonna love it, dude. And once we finish editing everything, dude, it's gonna be great. I'm sure I'll be able to scoop up some of these logos for you and make sure we get them in there and everything else. If you've got those files, if you've got any art files for them, let me have
Sure.
them, and I'll make sure that they
Yeah,
get
I'll get
in
you.
there. Look good.
I get you definitely the TCC one. I can get you that one for sure. The other ones, we can get these two online.
Right on.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, dude. All right. That's it.